So I'm going unscripted today, and the reason being is because I'm going to talk to you about something very personal, and I don't want to sound rehearsed. My name is JPD Oliveira. I'm the Wandering Clinician. This is my channel. Feel free to subscribe, share, and you can email me as well. Ask me questions, and I'll respond to my best ability. So I grew up in the 70s, 80s. I started school in the 70s. And at the time, there was no talk about bullying. It was not even discussed at all. So when I went to school, my first few years of school were okay. But when I got to second grade, things got really, really bad. My teacher thought it was funny to take my drawing and staple it in the back of my shirt because I had used the wrong colors. I am colorblind. I stood there in the front of the classroom facing the blackboard with my shirt, the back of my shirt to the rest of the classroom, with my drawing stapled to the collar, and the kids making fun of me and the teacher laughing. She thought it was funny. In third grade, I had a teacher shove me into a closet with no windows, a hallway closet in the back of the classroom where she stored materials and cleaning supplies. And she left me there until dismissal time. And she only remembered that I was there when she went to get the broom to take care of the classroom. And that's when she realized, oh, you're in the closet, literally. During recess, one day, a group of kids decided they were going to kick my ass. And I went to the fence, the front gate where the school was located right next to a Catholic church. I went to the front of the school, and there was a gate, a metal gate. And I looked at the teacher and I said, they're coming to hurt me. And she's looking at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, they're coming to hurt me. Help me. I was 8. Some of those kids were like 10, 11 years old. Big kids. They were coming toward me. I opened up the gate and I left and I ran away. And the teacher screamed at me, come back, you're not supposed to leave the school. And I'm running as fast as I can. I got home and I talked to my mother. First, I waited like about an hour and a half in a hallway of a building, like the entranceway. And when my mom came, she's like, the school's looking for you. They called the police. They are really worried. And I'm telling her everything that happened. And she's like, well, you're going to have to go back to school. So we had lunch, and then she took me back to school. And the teacher acted as if I was the problem because I ran away from school. They never addressed the fact that the kids were wanting to hit me or that she stood there and said nothing. When I was in 5th grade, there was a boy in my classroom. His name was Omar. And Omar talked back. And the teacher, who was, to me, gigantic, he was at least 6'3", 6'4". He was gigantic. He was a gigantic teacher. Grabbed him by the head and held him with 2 hands while he kicked his butt. I will never forget that scene. And we all the kids in the classroom are seeing that happen. And we're thinking, oh my God, this is unreal. Like, why would you do that to a child, or anybody for that matter? And I remember telling my mom and saying, you know what? Omar got beat severely by the teacher today. He grabbed him by the head and I kicked him in the butt. And my mom's like, you're exaggerating. This is not happening. I'm like, yeah, it's happening. One day, Omar was bleeding from the mouth. The next day, he would be bleeding from the ear. He would be bleeding from different parts of his body. He would be beat severely in front of all the kids. Nobody was saying anything. I told my parents, but my parents were like, teachers are always right. I'm like, are you kidding me? And now I'm an adult and I'm a father, and I think about how things have changed so much. But the bullying that I felt as a child impacted me, made me very anxious as a kid. I was afraid of going to school. I was getting stomachache. I was getting headaches. I was having nightmares. I was terrified of going to school. I didn't want to go to school. And I remember teachers saying to my parents, he's smart, but he's not applying himself. I'm like, are you kidding me? How can I apply myself in an environment that's so hostile, where I go to school and I'm afraid? Even the PE teacher would make fun of us. They were so mean. I mean, like, I'm thinking back and I'm thinking about how mean they were and how they hit us and slapped us and punched us and kicked us, and they were adults. And then kids would do the same thing during recess and nobody would say anything. Guess what? You model that behavior. And so bullying has long-lasting effect on people, where you start not trusting people. You start thinking that everybody out there is out to get you and hurt you. There's also the notion that maybe where do you learn your social skills? Well, in school. Let's say you're a little bit different, neurodivergent, and maybe, not what the neurotypical kind of mind, and the other kids are being mean to you. That makes it even harder for you to fit in, because you develop friendship, you learn your skills, social skills through interactions, and if the people around you are mean, you don't feel safe. So you end up masking a lot, and you end up not being honest and open and sharing about who you are. And he didn't stop there. In middle school was just as bad. One boy hit me with a protractor in math class, with the point of the protractor, and he put it in my arm. I have a scar from it. And the teacher watched it happen and didn't say anything. My mom then went to school and said, hey, you know what, that's not okay. And the principal says, you're right, that's not okay. So they punished that boy for like a couple of days. And then when he came back, he wanted to kill me. And I was like, because there was no restorative justice, there was no communication, there was no, hey, let's discuss how we behave and how we carry ourselves and how we treat each other. And I'm thinking that about how, adults make it difficult for kids to interact normally, because they don't step in. A lot of time they don't step in, or they see something happen and they brush it off and act as if it's not important enough. And I understand that you cannot fight every battle for kids, but it's not enough to stand in front of a classroom and say hitting is wrong and name calling is wrong. It is about developing a culture where people keep each other accountable, because you've got your little bullies who might be suffering at home from domestic abuse, and they go to school and bully other kids. But then you have all the bystanders that are terrified of reporting it or speaking about it. And then you have the adults, and depending if the adults are aware of their own behavior. So now they don't hate kids anymore, but a lot of them are sarcastic and make comments. And sometimes they'll crack a joke at the expense of a kid, and they don't realize that joke can create so much pain in the life of that child. And then the other kids will maybe sometimes use that joke against that child. So if you call somebody slow or dim-witted or whatever, and I don't know what teachers say to kids nowadays because I'm not in class, but if you say something to a kid, like you make fun of their abilities in front of the other kids, I can guarantee you that during recess, those children are going to pick up on what the teacher said and will follow up. And, we tell kids to be tough, and we tell them, hey, boys will be boys, it's normal, but it's not. And if you are feeling different, because you are different, because I was different in many ways, and then the adults pick on me in front of kids, those adults not only they gave an encouragement to those other kids to pick on me, but they modeled that behavior. And so what happens now in 2023? If your child comes home and tells you that he's been picked on, you got to tell the teacher right away. And you have to tell the teacher everything, give a timeline, explanation. The teacher doesn't do anything, go to principal. And if the principal does not do anything, go to the school district. And if the school district does not do anything, go to the Department of Education. It is not okay for a child to go to school and be terrified being at school. It's not okay for children to pick on other kids and for adults to watch it happen and not do anything. And it's not okay for adults to model that kind of behaviors. I mean, I can tell you many, many more stories about being abused, hit, name-called by not only kids, but also adults. And they got away with it because there was a tolerance for it. There was, if you don't say anything against it, you're encouraging it. Okay, please subscribe to my channel and share. And I wish you all a wonderful day.